Back at it again. It's the State of Football Part 103 edition. Whoo! Time is flying by here. Your new home for real football talks in the mornings. If you're tuned in and you're a regular listener, welcome back. If you're a first-time listener, buckle up. Double chin strap kind of show. I am your host, Ric Serritella, telling it like it is when it comes to the NFL draft and everything football here at the NFLDraftBible.com. Since 2002, it's what we do. And we've got a jam-packed show for you, as always, here on this Wednesday, the day before Christmas Eve. And my co-host, John Murphy, a little bit under the weather, so I don't know if we will have John today. But, obviously, Joe De Leon, Joe DiMaggio, whatever you want to call him, was in the saddle for me yesterday. So appreciate him holding down the fort along with John and our guest, Russell Landy, every Tuesday. Our super producer, Samantha, behind the scenes, as always, on the turntables today as well. And, while I was not on the show yesterday, I don't think I took the day off. Nope. In fact, I signed the biggest contract in the history of the NFL Draft Bible. And if you follow us on Twitter at NFL Draft Bible and you follow the whole new clan, then you may know that we did merge with TDDR, the Dynasty Draft Room Network. And that was not the big announcement that everybody's been teasing. No, it's just the first step of what's to come next. And I'm happy to announce that the announcement is coming very soon. And I know we keep saying that, but the ink is still wet. The contract has been signed, and the ink shall dry next week. I believe we will do I'm aiming for January 1st, kick off the new year. Let's sweep 2020 under the rug, right? Let's kick off 2021 with a bang. And our New Year's Day show, which happens to fall on a Friday, January 1st, I think we're going to make that the announcement show. So that would be about 1 week, 9 days from today. Believe me, I just got done watching. There's a Jeff Monken video floating around of him inside the Army locker room firing up the troops. Well, that's kind of how the NFL Draft Bible Familia is feeling right about now. And we've been doing quite a lot of these Zoom calls and preparing, for this opportunity. And, I kind of feel like Nirvana right now, right? We had a couple hit albums. We've been doing pretty good. But now it's time to go mainstream and pump it like Nevermind. If you know what I mean. So we did that yesterday. Big shout out to Ryan Roberts and Zach Petraw and all the NFL Draft Bible Familia as we bring you an unprecedented website. Honestly, I mean, I've been doing this. Next year will be our 20th year anniversary. I've never seen a website constructed like the one that we're building. So I know we're all very excited about that. By the way, did you catch the Mav Sports Take podcast last night? What a show. What a show. Great job out of Ryan and David Turner and St. Francis quarterback Jason Brown. Ralph, if you're watching, I know the Northeast Conference, you talk about, Jacob Dolegala. Well, Jason Brown is even a better prospect. This is a name you need to know for Sundays. He spent, about 15 minutes or so on the Mav Sports Take podcast last night. Enlightening stuff when you consider here's a guy who's going to be playing on Sundays at the FCS level. And, by the way, can we get Ryan Roberts a map of the United States? He's having trouble identifying where Virginia is in relationship to Pennsylvania. I did catch that, but, here's a guy who could have transferred, entered the transfer portal, stays pat. Of course, Chris Villarreal, I believe the head coach there at St. Francis, a name you definitely need to know. And speaking of that transfer portal, as of last night, we talked about it last week. It went from 200 to 400. Well, double down. The transfer portal, as of last check, last night, about 12 hours ago, 794. So we're probably over the 800 status now with the NCAA transfer portal. It's going to be amazing to see how that unfolds. And of course, the Senior Bowl invites continue to roll out. So we're starting to get some clarity now on players who's opting in, who's opting out. That January 18th deadline right around the corner. Oh, by the way, the NFLPA Collegiate Bowl virtual event right around the corner. We'll have Dane Vandernat tomorrow on Christmas Eve, a holiday edition, along with Neil Stratton, who joins us every Thursday as well from inside the league. Does a great job with the industry rumblings. Neil becoming quite the author, by the way, already moving the chains and Scout Speak. If you haven't picked those up, do so now on Amazon. But he's got a third book now in the works, and we'll talk to him about that. Shout out to Young Ho Koo, the kicker. Where's he? Down in Atlanta now, I think, with the Falcons. I saw he makes the Pro Bowl. One of the players that I had for the one season that NFL Draft Bible ran the College Gridiron Showcase scouting. Young Ho Koo, one of the players there. So good to see him. That was about 5 years ago we did that. And Jose Jefferson, if you're listening, or Craig Red, you owe us both money, both myself and John Murphy. So, hey, cut that check. I see you guys charging a lot of money for that College Gridiron Showcase down there in Texas. So I know you got the dough, brother. Cut that cheddar. How about the Detroit Lions coaching situation? We'll monitor that. They don't have anybody. So Justin Van Fulpen, if you're out there listening, the Lions might need some assistance there on the sidelines. They had a little, COVID positive situation. A lot of the players in contact tracing protocol, and the Detroit Lions now scrambling to find a coaching staff for the upcoming game this weekend. So we'll monitor that. We'll see if we have an update by the end of the show. Oh, by the way, we had some bowl games again. They continue to roll out, couple games tonight, but yesterday, man, oh man, I'll tell you, I got to take a sip of coffee for this one. The Boca Raton Bowl. How about those BYU Cougars here now, finishing up the season 11-1, most wins in over a decade in a shortened pandemic season. So kudos to BYU. They romp all over UCF 49-23, and this game was even a bigger blowout than what it looks like on paper. But now you have to wonder, all the love out there on the Twitterverse for Zach Wilson, man. I just love watching these clips. He throws like a little 5-yard out, and oh man, this is the best throw since sliced bread. Did you see the way he connected on that 5-yard out? Nobody can sling it like that. But you have to wonder, though, how much of this love now is trickling into the NFL front offices, and especially there at number 2 with the New York Jets, who, thought they were getting Trevor Lawrence, then, maybe had to reconsider Justin Fields. And now, with the way Fields has played here down the stretch and how Zach Wilson has kind of been steady Eddie. I mean, 33-3 touchdown to interception ratio. My goodness. He is, however, making some throws that you wonder, has Zach Wilson surpassed, and Jay-Z used to say it was all good just a week ago, Mr. Justin Fields. We were talking about you and Trevor Lawrence, 1 and 2. Well, now we're talking Zach Wilson, Justin Fields, 2 and 3. And, you wonder, how much of that is creeping into the minds of NFL executives. And I think I saw the Godfather, Gil Brandt, tweet out that if he's the Jets, if he's got a shot at Trevor Lawrence, you pull the trigger. If not, you trade down, pick up additional selections, and stockpile and put yourself in position for a Zach Wilson. I got news for you. You trade out a number 2. Zach Wilson may not be there for the taking later on in the draft. That's how crazy it could be. Just saying. That's how crazy we've gone with this quarterback carousel. So, and as if the QB situation wasn't even murky enough. Well, oh, by the way, the famous Idaho Potato Bowl yesterday, Nevada 38, Tulane 27. Carson Strong, you got to wonder now, Ryan Roberts guy, does he toss his hat into the ring? Does he dip his toes into the NFL draft pool after something he's been doing all season long, completing passes at a very high percentage, much higher than Zach Wilson or Justin Fields. Carson Strong, 22 of 28, 271 yards, 5 touchdowns, 0 interceptions yesterday. And, just a very efficient guy, can make all the throws. Another great touchdown to interception ratio on the season, 27-4. So you talk about a guy who now, says, hey, wait a second. Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson, Justin Fields, maybe so. Well, how about, Carson Strong at the back end of the first round? The North Dakota State, Trey Lance. Who's to say Carson Strong isn't on that tier? So, and oh, by the way, Mel. Oh, man. Ryan Roberts mailbag coming out tomorrow. I just edited that this morning, but it used to be You've Got Mel. No longer. He's got the hook. You've got mail from Ryan Roberts because there's a new draft Nick in town. And, Mel Kiper now with Mac Jones in the first round conversation. I don't know about that one, guys. I do not know about that one. So we are going to try to have a little bit of fun here. If we have time at the end of the show, take a look back at that 2010 NFL draft class. I stumbled across the NFL Draft Bible 2010 edition with Ndamukong Suh and Gerald McCoy on the cover there. And we'll go back and look. But Jimmy Clausen coming in at number 10 on the big board that year. We had to throw him in there. And in our defense, just to razz Mel a little bit more. And Mel's a good guy. We got nothing but love for Mel Kiper Jr. But he did say, if Jimmy Clausen isn't a franchise quarterback, well, then I'm going to retire. So maybe it's time to retire, Mel, with your Mac Jones anointment. And it's time to anoint Ryan Roberts, who, as we take the NFLDraftBible.com mainstream next week, Ryan Roberts is going to be the guy. You won't be talking about Mel Kiper and Louis Riddick. You'll be talking about Ryan Roberts. Because that's what we do here at the NFLDraftBible.com here on the State of Football. Your new home for real football talk in the mornings. Nobody's realer than us. Since 2002, that's what we do. Couple more games today. The R&L Carriers New Orleans Bowl. John Murphy claiming to be sick on us today. I think he might be on his way to the Carrier Dome there in New Orleans to see Louisiana Tech 5-4 take on Georgia Southern 7-5. A matinee, that one 3 p.m. Eastern time on ESPN, and then a doubleheader tonight, the Montgomery Bowl, Memphis 7-3 taking on Florida Atlantic 5-3. That one as well on ESPN tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern time there. How about Auburn? Brian Harsin named the next head coach. Let's think about that for a second. By the if you work for Lavazza, Illy, or another coffee company, we'll accept your sponsorship too. But I'm telling you, if you're Lavazza or Illy, that's what I like to drink every morning. We are looking for that coffee sponsorship. So, feel free to get in contact with us, RIC at NFLDraftBible.com, or our super producer behind the scenes, Samantha. That would be Sam at AllAccessFootball.com. We want your coffee sponsorship. We will blow you up. Oh, man, this is so good. It's almost as good as taking the Auburn head coaching job. Imagine leaving your alma mater. Woo. Well, that's what Brian Harsin did of Auburn. He leaves Boise State after 7 seasons there. Believe it or not, the 5th winningest program in college football over the past 7 seasons. And if you put that lower third graphic up, Samantha, I have a misspelling on Boise State, so just be careful of that one. But 784 winning percentage over the past 7 seasons. Only, I think, Alabama, Ohio State, Oklahoma. I think so. I mean, what he's done there, 3-time Mountain West champion. You have to imagine that Auburn is happy with this hire, considering nobody else wanted the job. I mean, what's going on down there in Auburn? Suddenly the SEC, Ronald James, baby, good to see you in the chat room. I got to pay attention to my chat room, peeps. I know Ryan Roberts is in the chat room and the NFL Draft Bible Familia. A lot of you guys listening and not chiming in, but we do love your comments and interaction. Ron, good to see Neville Hewitt playing at a high level here in Jersey for the Jets. But Brian Harsin, suddenly now, hey, I'll take it. And he must have wanted the job bad because, like I said, 44 years old, leaves his alma mater, had it made in the shade there. He could have built a legacy, but he takes this Auburn job after, Louisiana head coach Billy Napier and Clemson defensive coordinator Brent Venables both turned down the gig. So you wonder now why nobody wants to go coach Auburn. Is it because the expectations are unrealistic? Gus Malzahn came in like a gangbuster, stumbled across a quarterback named Cam Newton, and we know how that story went. Wins himself a national chip, but the honeymoon is now over. And you wonder, 6-4 winning football season, he gets fired, and oh, by the way, a $21 million buyout. So they basically pay Gus Malzahn $21 million to go away. And you wonder if now, head coaches in the ilk of Napier and Venables are saying, hey, you know what? Unrealistic expectations, not going to put my reputation on the line. But Brian Harsin will. And the irony here is Harsin actually also replaced Gus Malzahn back in 2013 over at Arkansas State. And so he tries to go for the encore performance. His lone season, by the way, at Arkansas State, he did win the Sun Belt Conference before taking that Boise State job. So Brian Harsin succeeding Gus Malzahn for the second time in his career, hopping over from Boise State to Auburn. Michigan serving up pink slips. Jim Harbaugh, contract extension being discussed. Don Brown, defensive coordinator the past 5 years, out the door. Pink slips. Bye, Don. And I got nothing but respect for Don Brown. I think, listen, in this pandemic season, the way things have been so topsy-turvy, I would have gave him a bye. I think Don Brown is a solid football man. Great guy, great coach. But the Wolverines say adios, amigos, after 5 seasons. How about Dwayne Haskins? Really, bro? Come on, son. Like, what are you doing? This guy. It never ends. Just when you want to start believing again, maybe you can turn it around. Oh, God. Maybe it's just the jersey in him. You just can't take the jersey out of him, right? And we talk about all the guys that make it out of Jersey to the NFL level. How about all the guys that don't make it? Probably even more so, right? Because they're just knuckleheads. I mean, you're in the strip club out there in Arizona after the game, wherever, and then, you try to pull the excuse, well, we just invited the strippers to the hotel room. Well, whether you're at the strip club or in the hotel room, like, you just got to have a better head in the game, on and off the field, and in your pants. Just saying. I mean, you just get awarded the job back again. You're in the playoff. You're in the driver's seat to win the NFC East. And I'm off my game today. Typo on that one too, Samantha, the Y in the end. So you can take that one off. Boy. The State of Football here, your new home for real football talk in the mornings, brought to you by the NFL Draft Bible.com. obviously, we're going to have to start getting an editor for the editor here on the state of football. Tomorrow, by the way, 9 a.m. Eastern, we will have Dane Vandernack, the executive director for the NFLPA Collegiate Bowl. Invites went out, by the way, if you're a player. Feel free to hit me up. Drop me a line, ric@nfldraftbible.com. And, if you're curious to know if you received an invite, I'll let you know. Hit me up. We want you to get back to us so we can get you into the NFLPA virtual event. Of course, Neil Stratton will join us at 9:40 a.m. tomorrow on the Christmas Eve edition here. Ric Serritella breaking it down, flying solo today. Shout out to our guy, John Murphy, under the weather a little bit. So not here today. Hopefully we have him for the holidays. And Joe DeLeon, Big Joe D, batting cleanup for me yesterday with Russ Landy. If you missed that show, they went around the NFL, NCAA bowl games and prospect previews. Monday we had Ralph Ventry at NEC. Ralph breaking down NFL around the league on Monday. And then Friday, of course, we have our Football Friday edition. Big shout out to Big Law and his toy drive. I saw him on the tailgate show on location at the toy drive. So big shout out to Big Law, 7 City Shop Talk, World Radio. Sorry, folks. Got to get my coffee in. It's just a must. It's a must here on the State of Football. Weekdays, 9 a.m. Eastern. Your new home for real football talk in the mornings. Real coffee brewed in the mornings. Shout out to Lava Java down the street. Living the lava life here in the Jersey Shore. Woo! All right. So I wanted to have some fun today, and we'll do this, throughout the State of Football. Part of the fun is not going to happen because I was going to try to stump the draft guru. Maybe that's why John bailed out on us. But I said, hey, let's have some fun tomorrow. Let's go back, look at that 2010 NFL draft. And, of course, Ndamukong Suh and Gerald McCoy on the cover of the draft Bible that year with Radio City in the background. It was still held in Radio City. But, that year, 7.25 million people watched the first round, which you kind of just chuckle now because it pales in comparison. I think like 44 million people watched the first round this past year. So in just a decade, and oh, by the way, all decade teams coming out soon on the NFLDraftBible.com. When we hit the new website next week, we'll be unleashing not only the all decade teams, but we'll also have the draft guides and team needs that Jack Despo is doing a great job. So New York Jets will be the first one, followed by the Jacksonville Jaguars. We'll go in the draft order, Cincinnati Bengals. So keep a lookout for the all-decade team. You might still be able to vote for the New York Jets all-decade quarterback on our Twitter handle at NFL Draft Bible. Surprisingly, Ryan Fitzpatrick was in the lead. Sam Darnold getting no love at all in that poll, by the way. But to me, I don't know. Mark Sanchez, back-to-back AFC championships. That, to me, was the pinnacle of the decade. And so, to me, Mark Sanchez gets a slight nod. And you look at the production and the numbers of games started between Sanchez, Fitzpatrick, and Darnold. It's very similar. But to me, I give the edge to Sanchez. The fans, surprisingly, overwhelmingly, 50% of the vote, I think, was for Fitzpatrick. And, I think Sanchez got about 35%. Darnold was at about 10 or 15. Not to sidetrack too much, though. I say that because we go back to the 2010 NFL draft flashback. 216 of the 255 combine invites were selected that year. So 84%, which means what? 39 non-combine invites were selected in that year's draft, which is right about on par for average, except for last year. We saw that number chopped in half, largely in part of, I believe, the COVID situation. So how about this? NFL record at the time. And if you remember, this was the first year now. This was the last year before the new CBA. So it was the last time that these quarterbacks were going to get paid big money. And Sam Bradford went number 1 overall. Of course, you remember that big time contract. But there was a new CBA in place for 2011 that would drastically reduce the pay scale for rookies. So if you remember at the time, there was this big concern about all this mad dash of underclassmen rushing to that year's draft. And there was an NFL record, you'll laugh, 53 non-seniors who declared for the draft that year. It was a record at the time. That was just 10 years ago. You know, I think we're close to 153 last year. I think the number was like 147. So in just a decade, that number has tripled. But at the time in 2010, 53 non-seniors, an NFL record for declaring for the draft. Think about that for a minute. Going back and just looking at our top 10 in the publication that year, here was our top 10. Ndamukong Suh 1, Sam Bradford 2, Russell Okung 3, Gerald McCoy 4, Eric Berry 5, CJ Spiller 6, Brian Bulaga 7, Des Bryant 8, Trent Williams 9, Jimmy Clausen 10. Not a bad top 10 if you think about it. I mean, you want to call CJ Spiller a bust? Okay. Probably so. Des Bryant, did he have the longest career? No, but he was productive. I mean, the only guy in that top 10 that really legitimately flamed out was Jimmy Clausen. You know, and you remember he got punched in the face that year by his teammate, I think. You know, he's walking around, you know, the combine or wherever he was, the Senior Bowl with a black eye. You know, I got to pull up CJ Spiller's stats now. I'm curious because how long did CJ Spiller last in the league? Let's take a look here. Now, CJ Spiller, he played 7 seasons in the league, okay? And he had a 1,000-yard campaign. 2012, he made the Pro Bowl. He ran for 1,244 yards. And he added, you know, another 459 receiving that year. So he had over 1,800 yards. And he had, you know, 933 rushing yards the following season. So, you know, I mean, hey, not a bad career. 3,400 rushing yards overall for the Bills, New Orleans, the Jets. You forget he played with the Jets, Seahawks, Chiefs. So CJ Spiller, he goes 9th overall. Wow. So, I mean, you want to say Spiller's not worth the 9th overall pick? I'm not going to disagree with you. But I think all these players, Suh, Bradford, Okung, McCoy, Berry, Bulaga, Dez, Trent Williams, you know, pretty good top 10 for our top 10. Oh, by the way, Emmanuel Sanders and Antonio Brown both getting draftable grades in the publication that year. 2 Rutgers players inside the top 20. Shout out to Jersey. Can you guess who they are? 2 Rutgers players in our top 20 that year, 2010. I'll give you a second to think about it. Samantha, cue the Jeopardy music. 2 Rutgers players inside our top 20, and I believe they both went in the first round. Time's up. Anthony Davis and Devin McCourty. Anthony Davis and Devin McCourty. So, how about this one? You ready? I pulled this up. Here's our summary straight out of the publication, 2010. See if you can name this prospect. Name this prospect. I'm going to read you. I'll read you his overall summary. With his 6'6" height and chiseled frame, he certainly looks the part. But unlike a lot of beefcake types we've seen in the past, he's a versatile athlete. That's more than just eye candy. His massive frame and reliable hands make him very attractive to teams who employ a traditional tight end, as he shows upside as a run blocker. But as long as he checks out okay medically, he should be a lock for the late first or early second round. And if he remains healthy, we expect this product to make several Pro Bowls and be among the top all-around tight ends in the NFL. Now, I omitted the school and the name. Can you guess who it is? Here was his quote at the combine. I believe I have great hands. I'll catch anything in my path. I would say I'm the top tight end because I bring the whole package. I'm ready to take on the big D ends. I'm ready to go out there and catch some passes. Any ideas who that might be? No? Rob Gronkowski. How about that? The Gronk. 10 years, still doing it. By the way, he's got more 20-yard plays than any tight end in football. More plays of 20 yards plus than any tight end in football. So much for Tom Brady not being able to throw downfield. Gronk and Brady still doing their thing. Here's a side story. So if you have the 2010 publication, you'll see in there we've got a full-page ad throughout the publication for our after party because the draft was held in New York City at Radio City. Oh, man, the Irish pub on 47th there between 8th and 9th. If you're walking from Radio City up on the left-hand side, we had a great deal. Anyway, we had an after party. It was like an open bar type of deal, $40. I think it was like a 3-hour open bar. And here we are. This is 10 years ago. We had all these high-profile agents and industry folks and Rob Gronkowski. The Gronkowskis, all the Gronks were supposed to show up because I think Chris Gronkowski was in this draft as well. I think he was a fullback. So Gronk winds up going in the second round. I guess he's pissed off because he thought he was a first-round guy. And so we had interviewed Gronk leading up to the draft. We had coordinated, he's going to come to the after party, I guess, celebrate him being drafted in the first round. Well, he doesn't go in the first round, but his brothers do show up, Chris and TJ. And you could only imagine, or, whoever at the time, this is 10 years ago now. Anyway, we've got his brothers in the bar. They're clearly underaged, and so word gets out now around the bar, like, oh, those are some NFL guys up there. And, they're doing the Gronk now. They're shirtless on the bar dancing. And now the girls are up on the bars dancing with them. And then you got clothes coming off. You got panties dropping in the bar. And we had the upstairs rented out. So it was a quote unquote private party. And shout out to Stretch if he's watching, because I know he's a listener of the show. And he was the AKA bouncer for the event. And, I know I yelled at you last time you were here, Stretch, but give me a call. It's all good. But what a party. What a situation. That was 10 years ago, just to look back on the 2010 NFL draft. But, let's go with the guy who's still playing. How about that? Let's go with the guy who's still playing. Let me look up the scouting report. He was our number 3 rated wide receiver. He timed in the 4.42 range at the combine. We had a second round grade on him. Okay. Second round grade on him. Let's see if I can get to his scouting report here. Here we go. Underclassman, came out as a junior, formerly a high school running back. Okay, Ryan Roberts, if you're listening, you should be able to get this one. We'll go to his overview. All right. His junior season, back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons. His junior season, 1,496, 15 touchdowns, 9 games of over 100 yards. What jumps out? Even more than his skills is his intensity. That's true. The kid is a fighter, whether it's scrapping for the extra yard or wrestling the ball away from defensive backs in traffic. That is not to say he lacks ability. He's not a quintessential number 1 receiver, but we believe the 2009 Bolitnikoff Award winner is going to maximize his potential and be a productive starter for years to come. He's still playing. In his shortcomings, height and speed departments cause him to fall short of the first round. However, he provides excellent value in the second round. An early entry, the product of Notre Dame, made a wise decision in declaring for the draft as his stock is at an all-time high. Here's what Lou Holtz had to say about him. He's talented, confident, and competitive. That's an understatement. He believes in his talents, and he has a drive to make the clutch plays. He also plays very well without the ball. He may be the best receiver in college football. Can you guys guess who that is? He's a Golden Domer. Currently playing in my backyard last time I checked. Almost got himself thrown off the team this year. Ding, 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 ding. Golden Tate. Golden Tate, our number 59th ranked player in that year's draft. Here's one we missed on. You ready for a miss? Speaking of Boise State, here's another one that we were all amped up about. And you know what? It just didn't pan out. Our 20th player ranked in the 2010 draft. So, you know, Gronk was a hit. Golden Tate was a hit. Kyle Wilson, not so much. And you remember he went in the first round to the New York Jets. 5'10", $194, 4.48 and a 40. Let's read his summary and what we had to say about Kyle Wilson. A highly productive collegian, the all-WAC performer, played under the radar for most of his senior campaign before seeing his star rise with a splendid week in Mobile at the Senior Bowl. Despite concerns over Wilson's size, his elite athleticism combined with his versatility as a punt returner and cornerback make him a first-round prospect. Well, that was clearly wrong. While Wilson may have trouble in the run game and contesting jump balls, his freakish burst allows him to stay in his opponent's hip pocket in man coverage and close in on the pass catcher in zone coverage. When he has the ball in his hands as a punt returner, Wilson is a threat to score at any moment. We love his instincts and mental toughness, things you typically can't teach. While he may never be a Pro Bowl caliber cornerback, we expect the Boise State product to be a solid starting cover man in the NFL for years to come. That was a miss. Clearly. You know, how about speaking of misses, let's take a look at Taylor Mays, who was our number 42 ranked prospect in this draft out of USC. And he was somewhat of a polarizing prospect coming out because, you know, he had all the measurables, always went for the big hit, right? But there was also a lot of big misses in coverage. But then he goes to the combine. Check out these measurables. 6'3" and 1/8, 230 pounds. This is a safety back in 2010. 6'3" and 1/8, 230 pounds. He ran 4.43, threw up 24 reps of 225. He leaped 41-inch vert, 10'5" broad. Taylor Mays. And we have in parentheses inside linebacker because, yes, people were thinking at 6'3", 230 pounds, he might just have to play linebacker. And, you know, that's the thing with Taylor Mays. He kind of got pigeonholed. There really wasn't a position because, you know, at the time, he just, even though nowadays he'd be considered linebacker size, looks like Tarzan, plays like Jane. That's Taylor Mays to a T. He was just kind of, I don't know, too stiff-hipped, I guess, to play to survive at safety. Let's see what we said about him. Here's what Pete Carroll said. He's a high achiever, driven, all of the positive things. He wants to be great, and he's willing to do what it takes to be great. He just doesn't want to talk about it. He just does it. He embodies all the virtues of staying. He wanted to do this not only to improve as a player, but he came back for his team, his school, and for the fans. Here's what NFL Draft Bible had to say about him. Once considered a top 15 pick in last year's draft, Mays decided to return to USC for his senior season. That may not have been the right move, as even with the extra year, Mays is still a difficult prospect to evaluate. While his athleticism and physicality are jaw-dropping, his lack of instincts and coverage is equally glaring. As a freshman, the former Trojan looked like a surefire future stud, but there wasn't the growth in his game that we expected to see. He made very few big plays. Where were the interceptions? Where were the forced fumbles, the tackles for loss? They were non-existent. A team that drafts Mays has to do one of two things to mask his coverage issues. Make Mays a Roy Williams type of box safety, or convert him into a linebacker like the Panthers did with Thomas Davis. With questions like that, we don't see selecting Mays in the first round as a prudent choice. So, okay, maybe we weren't too far off the mark, right? Because where did Taylor Mays go that year? He had to have gone in the top 50. And if you remember the old NFL Draft Bible website, we had that Taylor Mays promo to order the draft guide. Taylor Mays was the logo, the picture that we had up on the website. Let's see. He went, anybody know? 49th overall, which is where he was. Is that what? We had him 42nd overall, and he goes 49th overall, Taylor Mays. So, and he played for the 49ers, the Cincinnati Bengals, the Minnesota Vikings, the Detroit Lions, the Oakland Raiders, the Cincinnati Bengals, and oh, by the way, John Murphy gave him a call for the Saskatchewan Roughriders back in 2017. Three-time All-American, second-team All-American, two-time All-Pac-10, Pac-10 co-freshman of the year. Look at this. Look at this. Taylor Mays. So, born February 7th, which would make him Aquarius. I only know that because I'm February the 10th. So, a wild child, basically. That Taylor Mays. You having fun yet here on the State of Football? How about this one? Chad Jones. Remember him from LSU? I think a first-round pick with the Giants, got into the motorcycle crash. You know, just our second-rated Chad Jones, our second-rated strong safety behind Earl Thomas, 6'2" 4/8", 225, ran a 4.57, 36-inch vert. 52nd overall on our big board. I think he went in the first round. And he was also a big-time baseball player. Came out as a junior. We slapped a first-round grade on him. Here's what Les Miles said about him at the time. I think Chad is gaining confidence. He's a natural at his position. Certainly, I think he performed well and made 2 nice interceptions. That thing that you may not have seen was maybe a fine special teams tackle, as I've seen in quite some time. He came down and put his helmet right into the chest of that receiver on the kickoff and drove him. Here's what the Draft Bible said. One of the more remarkable player storylines, Jones was the Tigers' key relief pitcher during their 2009 College World Series run. But he made the decision to stick with football and enter the draft after his junior year. It will be interesting to see how good Jones will be when he's able to train and concentrate on football only. He has the talent to be a first-round pick, but lacks the versatility that Eric Berry or Earl Thomas possess. He's strictly a safety in our view. On the flip side, Jones looks like a safety that was very durable during his 3 seasons in the SEC. The safety position in the NFL is becoming more important than ever, as teams are looking for a big physical presence that can make plays. Jones is that type of player, which is why we expect him to land somewhere in the late first to early second round range. Early on in his career, Jones was more of an athlete than an elite football player, but he's made major strides as a junior, leading us to believe that he will fulfill his vast potential. The former Tiger is just scratching the surface, and unfortunately, he never got a chance to fulfill potential at the next level. So, again, a motorcycle crash, jeopardizing his career. And I think that was his rookie year. So before he can even leave the gates, Chad Jones' career coming to a crashing halt, literally. I hate to put it that way. But we'll have more fun with this, and we'll see if John can guess some of the scouting reports next time we pull this up. But I figured we'd have a little fun with the 2010 NFL draft. 10 years ago, again, the all-decade teams are coming out on the NFLDraftBible.com. Lavazza, Billy, anybody? You listening? Somebody with a coffee sponsor. We need some reinforcements, please. Well, it's been another hour of power here on the State of Football. Weekdays, 9 a.m. Eastern. We'll be back at it again tomorrow. Again, Dane Vandernat from the NFLPA Collegiate Bowl checks in with the latest update there, the virtual event right around the corner. Of course, NFL Draft Bible, the scouting provider, official partner of the NFLPA Collegiate Bowl. We'll also have Neil Stratton, Inside the League. Nobody breaks it down inside the league better than Neil Stratton with his industry rumblings. Again, big shout out to Joe D, Russell Landy, John Murphy, Samantha behind the scenes for yesterday's show. Mav Sports Take podcast. If you didn't catch the live stream last night with Jason Brown, the St. Francis quarterback, we'll be posting that up on the website later today. And, we'll continue to bring you the names you need to know first since 2002. It's what we do here at the NFLDraftBible.com. We'll have a major announcement next week. It's been 20 years in the making. I'm very excited about it. Hopefully we can get Ryan and Zach on here to talk more about it. But keep it locked. Stay tuned at NFL Draft Bible. We don't mean to tease you, but we do have a very major announcement that's going to really shake up the whole NFL draft media side of things anyway. And I also should plug the Paul Duncan podcast that we recorded now a couple weeks ago. Paul Duncan's been waiting patiently for me to give him the go. XTB, I believe. So he'll have the exclusive interview with me on more about what we're doing at the NFLDraftBible.com, our partnership with TDDR, the new website we're building, and where that's going to live. It's really all exciting stuff. And, shout out to my parents, too, for all the love and support throughout the years. And, Mom, if you're watching, hi. And Dad, I know you're watching up above. He always said we were going to make it, and we've arrived. We've arrived to mainstream, so watch out. NFL Network, we're coming for you. ESPN, we're on your tail. If you're not on the locomotive, you're getting steamrolled over. We'll see you tomorrow, everybody.